like Sol Stacks, Ondo Finance also looking strong. Let me go full screen so we can see this a little bit better. And has some nice potential on these. It's got if it breaks up into a new uptrending channel or a new trend line channel with higher velocity and slope, I think Ondo is pretty safe for a double here, and we'll be keeping an eye on that from these levels. It's good to buy low, sell high, as we know. So I'm positioning in these coins that have these nice rounding bottoms for when and if we get an alt season or even a mini alt season. And I think just Spidey sense, I think we'll see more of that mini pumps in the alts when Bitcoin kind of retraces. Bitcoin getting a big push, profit taking come down, money flows into altcoins, and then they rotate back and forth. I think that's what we're going to see here. Filecoin also finally starting to move, you guys. Hopefully you guys have some Filecoin. I've been talking about this for some time now. And all the way back here, long-term support. If we go back, maybe I'll just pull up a weekly to revisit this. It's had support down at these levels all the way back since 2019. And we did come down and revisit that $2.28 level. But now we're firmly back above the upper sloping trend line here, which was support. So again, long-term support from 2019 to 2025. This green arrow signifies where I think Filecoin can go. Potentially a 40x still, and as the farther higher we go, we'll have less potential. Now it's a 36x at current prices. I would be taking profits in these red zones because, as we know, that's where the sellers line up. So selling 20% of your positions on the way up, taking your initial investment out, then you can play with the house's money. I've shown you this chart before. It's one of my favorite in all of crypto. And we're pushing higher on the weekly trend strength indicator. So Filecoin, I've been adding to my positions here because this, again, 36x. I don't think we'll see these upper ranges this cycle, but you never know. It would be a massive influx on its market cap and potential 250x. Maybe that happens next cycle because I'm kind of projecting out into July of 26. But I still like this chart a lot. And in the near term, taking profits all the way up here, good one. Starting to look good there on Filecoin. Also, OGN, that's one of ours we've been kind of playing around with for a while. I won't spend too much time on this. It, originally did fairly well on this push up, sold off, a lot of sell pressure overhead. This is a longer term play for me, but I am going to be looking for kind of selling in this zone up around this region, which would put us at around, looks like about a 3x potentially. Sui's been a rising star, although a lot of people talking about it. I'm just not really seeing a lot of interest at this point. It's got to get up here. I think it still could double up in this range, so I'm holding some SUI, and especially if it's another hot narrative. I do like the transactions per second narrative. That is always going to drive price. I want to look at Hyperliquid as well because that's been one we've been following that's pushing up toward price discovery. Let's kind of look at that because Hype is a decentralized. And it's not easy to get. You have to get it on MEXC or on the Hyperliquid exchange. But if we just kind of look at the chart, I guess we can go over to, we don't really trade on KuCoin, but look at this. Pushing up here, breaking up into potentially price discovery mode. Beautiful chart. They're going to be the beneficiary of a lot of the money flowing off of the centralized exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, which are still under the laws of the SEC, can't offer derivatives. Although Coinbase just bought Deribit, they'll be rolling out options and futures in some capacity, probably limiting the amount of leverage that can be used. Not a big proponent of high leverage, but money will flow into these decentralized exchanges because they don't fall under the SEC jurisdiction, which is a centralized exchange. There's an owner, a founder, a company and organization that is essentially recommending securities. A decentralized exchange like Hyperliquid, there's none of that. So they kind of have free reign, and US citizens won't have to pass KYC to use this as of now. And again, these are very profitable, these companies. Bybit, when it was hacked recently, it was a $4 billion hack. They were like, yeah, we're good. They had to borrow some money to get back to liquid, but keep that in mind. I'm looking for companies with strong financials, ability to earn money. And just in the last half hour while we were talking about this, Hype is starting to push higher, price discovery zone. If you want to invest in some Hyperliquid, go over to the Hyperliquid exchange. I believe it's hyperliquid.xyz, and you can open an account to capitalize on this. Again, price discovery is usually an interesting phenomenon, and there's no overhead supply, as we call it, no sellers to sort of sell prior positions they are at a loss, although we're just kind of pushing the highs from back in December of 2024. So I would keep that on your radar. I've got got it down here. While we're talking about these as well, the last I wanted to look at Arkham, which was the recent pick from Moonstream. Now, it's not easy to find that. Arkham is on Tether. Looks like a perpetual contracts on Coinbase. Probably Kraken's a good spot. Mike, is that what you're going to say?
Yeah,
Uh,
Kraken. It's always
great
yeah,
looking,
it's on Kraken.
cool. Great looking chart. Some sell pressure right here on the daily. But look at this crossover. Big money flow. This is going to go higher. And so it might have a little trouble here trying to get above this 82-cent level. But if it goes back to recent highs last cycle, it's a 2.5x and probably could go higher as well. So just to kind of throw some new names in the mix. But look at this nice green, a lot of green movement here in today's market. So that's why I'm kind of happy that I'm in the alts at this time. Let's see, Bitcoin dominance down a little bit, Sol dominance up, interesting, and ETH dominance looking higher. So I don't know, I think we could see some rotation out of Bitcoin here and in the very short term and into these other leading, what do you call them, leading tier ones. We haven't looked at ETH in a while. I haven't liked the chart. I'll just jump ahead a little bit. I know many of you are on ETH. I don't like this chart at all, you guys. And so I have no ETH. And it's, people are saying this could come back soon. Money's going to flow in. Originally, I had this chart drawn something like this, and that we would continue lower. I just moved it over, but I would not be surprised with all of the sellers up in here to see another drop down below, down in these buy zones around $1,600 ETH, and maybe from there we push up higher. I don't know that we'll get down to these lower levels, and we'll get to that. But these sell blocks are pretty strong, which we can also see in the total market cap, which that's going into the bit of the weeds there. But just looking at total 3, it does kind of also indicate to me we're going to see some altcoin movement here, and because not as much sell pressure as on total 1 and total 2, which are Bitcoin and ETH, kind of skewed. So, and this little fracture here is interesting to me from a prior movement on total 3. This is again everything excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it sort of has less sell pressure to me, and I think this pushes us alt season really breaking out around August of 2025. A lot of confluence here in what I'm seeing in the charts. DeFi, not so much. Got a lot of sell pressure up in here. I still like ONDO. I still like Lido Finance, but everything else is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a question mark. So getting back down into it, in our coins we're watching, we talked about SUI. Say is looking good again. That was sort of another in the transaction space. So just to turn off these arrows and clean up these charts a little bit. Whereas the ERI Pro, but leaving it on, there's money flow coming in, 21-day crossing the 50. Love these kind of chart patterns. This can easily push up to around 38 cents. So, and then, longer term, I think Say will see some nice movements. Have some sell pressure above. I am buying some Say because it's along this trend line. So this is an unofficial buy recommendation. If you have some capital dry, I think I would temper that though. And I'm working with a handful of private clients about minimizing and reducing the number of coins in your portfolio, because when corrections happen, they happen very fast. It becomes very difficult to manage. So ideally, you're keeping a number of coins at around 10 or less and overweighting in those. And I'll be doing that soon. Currently, I'm in around 20. But majority in the top ones we've covered: Sol Stacks, ONDO, Filecoin, SUI, and sort of building positions, smaller ones in these, say, Lido, Dot, Near, Immutable X, etc. So, but seeing some higher lows on this. Lido starting to kind of push higher. I will be selling it up around this $2.20 range where the sellers are, and taking some profits to reallocate back into Sol and Bitcoin. But I think a pump here is probably likely. Polkadot, potential 10x here. I was redrawing this chart, and they're doing some cool things. Great support here around $3.60. Stemming from back in October 2023. Certainly some sellers in this, maybe range bound for a while, but a bull market, we can see these things break out And just to the old high back in November of 21, that's a 10x from here, you guys. Potential 10x. I would probably have some Polkadot in your portfolio because the 10x's are real nice versus the 2x's. So, having some of both I think is a good play. And then with the intent personally to buy Bitcoin when the whole thing's over and be in cash and be able to buy dips and kind of long-term holdings. So that's kind of the name of the game. Near here, turning higher, 21 over 50. Like this chart, I think this could push up to $4, maybe 5, almost a double. And then we'll see. And if we get that midsummer sell-off, hopefully it'll be sitting in cash to kind of catch the next bottoms and dips. Another way to multiply capital. Immutable X, so I want to have some exposure to gaming. I don't like Axie Infinity. I like Immutable X chart. It looks good. Came out of this buy range down in this area. And the weekly chart looks good as well with that TSI going higher, signal just turning green. So this is just what I've been trading. I did sell my a lot of my helium. I had a bunch of it. Caught this bounce nicely, but we're up into a sell block, overbought a little bit on the daily. And so, longer term, I still like helium. I think I'll just kind of wait for these sellers to kind of clear out of the way. And so again, not to get in the weeds too much. INJ's been looking good, breaking back above resistance. Bit of sell pressure here, but here's the squiggly line on INJ. I think we could see a nice push up 2 or 3x on that. AI is not doing so well. I have almost none of these now, and actually I think I sold AIOZ, so I need to adjust that. Why? Look at all the sellers up here. This is likely going to roll over. I just don't like having exposure in AI right now, mostly because there's so much money being made, and the big boys are in AI. Google just announced or released an amazing video engine where you can type in text what you want it to do, and it's flawless. People talking, people having conversations. It's shaking up the internet in the last 24 hours. Point is, all the money and real world use cases are from the for-profit companies. So these blockchain AI companies, I don't know. It's going to be a while. I don't know that maybe in pure speculative mania later in the cycle, but it's not happening now. Render, similarly, another top AI project, but it's just not. Look, the volume's just been dropping, and I would probably just not be in these, or a very small long-term bag on these AI tokens. So I'm going to move that down, actually. Optimism. A couple more. These are sort of languishing. I have small positions in these just to keep them on the radar. I think Aptos I actually sold. I don't like all these sellers. I've learned that they don't really get through them. All except for Bitcoin. We were watching Bitcoin take out that sell block yesterday. That was nice to see. Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.